Hi all, I'm Anne from Geeks of Green and today I will show you 7 plants that have really troubled me. Or should I say, I have troubled them. Yes, maybe it goes both ways. Before I list down these plants, let me remind you to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon for notifications. And also remember to follow me on Instagram as well for closer interactions, daily updates, and to be part of this growing plant community. These plants are beautiful ones, but haven't been growing well and they haven't been thriving really in my balcony. There may be many among you who have been keeping these same plants with great success, and maybe you find the care of these plants very easy. But each gardener has different experiences, and if you sat down to make a list of plants that you had difficulty growing, your list would probably be different than mine. So remember this, that I'm in no way trying to generalize that these plants are very difficult to care for in every circumstance. Under the right conditions, these plants can be grown easily and beautifully. Now, for these plants, I have been researching, I have been finding out things and tips and tricks. I've been experimenting with them and I've been trying to give them a little more care and a little bit more of what they need. And I'm not giving up on them just yet. So, these are plants that have troubled me, have been very challenging for me to grow, but I am going to keep trying and give it a few more chances before I decide not to keep them in my balcony. Now, let's look at this list of plants that are keeping me on my toes. So, the first plant that has made me lose a little sleep is this very popular, very beautiful Pilea peperomioides. Now, I remember wanting this plant for such a long time, and then when I finally got my hands on it, I was really excited about it, though I didn't research much about it. I've heard many people say that it's very easy to care for and it keeps growing and it keeps giving out pups and it's also wonderful to grow. But in my experience, it was not much of a grower in my balcony. And the main reason for that could be that my balcony gets very limited light. And the places where it gets light are all taken by plants that need a little more light. So the Pilea was left without light. It was sitting on my table, which is right in the center of my balcony. And there was a lot of obstruction with other plants blocking the little bit of direct light that comes into my balcony. So, all in all, the Pilea got very less light, and I have seen that it has not been doing very well because of that. I lost a couple of them to sudden root rot because the substrate was not drying fast enough. So now what I've done is with this fellow is he had started drooping again because the winter has set in and there's very less light in my balcony. So I set up tube light on the shelf and I've kept him right under that tube light, which gives it around 4,000 lumens, which should be enough for it right now. And I'm already beginning to see signs of it perking up. So I hope that in the future I have success with this plant because I really want this plant to grow as I've wanted it for a very, very long time. But I should make peace with the fact that if this plant doesn't thrive in my balcony, I should be ready to let go of it. And maybe I'll put it in a sunnier location in my brother's balcony, in my brother's box grill. So let's see how it goes with this one. Another plant that I've had a lot of problem with is the Distidia. Now I speak about all the Distidias that I've ever owned. I've had the same issues with them. This Distidia is one of my oldest ones. I had used a cutting of this in my one of my first videos. I think it was my first or second video, which was broken pot fairy garden. I used a cutting of this plant in that video. That's how old this plant is, and it has been with me for so long. Now, when I bought it, it didn't look like this. It was a pot full of stems and leaves. It was just so bushy and full. With Distichias, what has been happening is they die suddenly somehow. They just give up and they die. And most of my plant died. Very few stalks remained. And it had come down to almost one or two sprigs like this. It was just like one or two of these. And I had almost given up on it. I thought that it will not grow. So I continued keeping that one tiny little sprig in the pot, and I just forgot about it. I used to water it occasionally, take care of it like I would take care of any other plant. But this last month it has started growing, and it has been growing, and there are a few more shoots. So I'm having hope with this plant. Okay, so the thing with Dischidias are most of the ones that I've bought from the market are grown in oasis sponge, and I've seen that the roots are very restricted and they are not growing freely. So I have tried to free a couple of them, and this one I had freed, so it started growing again. But the ones that I didn't eventually died, either because of overwatering or either because of some spider mite infestation or some issue that I'm not being able to put my head around. So this is one plant that gives me a lot of grief, but because I like it so much, I don't want to give up on it just yet. I want to give it a little more and see that it thrives with me. And I won't go out and buy many more Dischidias. I will keep one or two and try to focus all my attention on them and try to master this plant eventually, I hope. So, this is my Peperomia rosso. And I have come across many gardeners, many friends on Instagram who have shared their sorrows about this plant, because this plant is very finicky and it stays with you for some time. After that, it starts showing signs of distress, and then it eventually dies. So I have still not been able to master this plant. It was doing very well in the past few months. It had been growing beautifully. There were flowers, and the plant was perky and beautiful. You can see my posts on Instagram. But now, if you look at it, it is suffering. There is some issue. Parts of the plant are going dry and dying out. Though the temperatures are cool, I'm trying to keep the humidity up, and though I'm watering it regularly, not over watering it. Sometimes there's absolutely no reason why your plant behaves the way it does. So there may be a problem that you can't see or you can't identify. It's not every time you may not be able to find a solution to your plant problem. So it's good to research, it's good to experiment, it's good to try again. And for me, I love this plant a lot because of the way it looks, and I really like how it looks. But somehow to get it thrive has been a problem. Now, Patricia Buzo on Instagram had mentioned once that putting her peperomias in a closed terrarium really helped her peperomias to thrive and grow. So that is one thing that I intend to do, put it in a terrarium and see that it works or not. So that's my peperomia rosso. I won't give up on you just yet. I'm going to give you another shot. So the next plant, or I would say group of plants that I will talk about, are the alocasias. I've always been troubled by them. I've always struggled with my alocasias, be it my alocasia amazonica, the poly, or the clipeolata, or the cuculata. All of them have given me enough problems. So the major trouble that I've had with alocasias are spider mites. And the spider mite infestation became more severe for one reason, that I had kept all my alocasias together. I usually do that with my plants, like I put my begonias together and my calatheas together so that I can give them the same amount of care and the light and things like that. But with alocasias, I've learned to realize that do not keep them together. They will only do one thing, they will share their spider mite infestation. So it's best to separate them, keep them in different corners of your balcony as far apart as possible so that spider mites don't happily hop plants. So that is what I've done. And since I've done that, I have seen a change in all my alocasias. So right now, the only alocasia that is still infested is my cucullata, which I'm not getting time to treat. But if I treat it, I'm sure it will come out of that infestation. But my Clipeolata and my Polly and my Amazonica are all doing well. They are coming back. You can see this Amazonica is growing back again. And I think alocasias are not that bad. They are beautiful plants. And I can't resist buying more and more varieties of this plant. But yes, if you buy this one, remember spider mites is something that you have to worry about and keep in mind. If there are spider mites in and around among your plants, they will definitely come to your alocasias. So keep spraying them with neem oil and keep fighting the infestation. I think then you should be okay with alocasias. They do well. Okay, so this little fellow is one of my favorites. It has been with me for a very long time. And very long time, as in since the time I've bought, I've not killed a single Peperomia argyria, which is commonly called the watermelon peperomia. This plant is a beauty, but he's not growing. He's just not happy. He's just stunted like this. Certain leaves do grow big and then they fall off. So I'm really confused about this plant. I do love it a lot. Probably I should give it a little more light. It will do well under a tube light or something like that. I will probably do this now. Pop it next to the Pilea on the shelf under the LED tube light, and maybe it will start growing then. So this plant, I have not had any issues in terms of pests or anything else, but the only issue is that it just doesn't grow. It's like a miniature watermelon peperomia. I'm not giving up on it, definitely not giving up on it, but I have to research more, do something to try and help it grow and be happier in my balcony. It can't just remain this stunted. So that's it. This is my peperomia argyria or my watermelon peperomia. Now, this is another plant that has troubled me in the past, but right now it's not troubling me. I'm quite happy with it. Now, what happened with my first cobra fern was that it was infested with white flies. And the problem with this fern is that the white fly infestation was under the leaves. So, when it is at a lower level, you cannot really spot the infestation till it's too late. So, when I spotted the infestation on my first plant, it was too late. My plant was destroyed. I struggled a lot. I treated it regularly, but the leaves just kept dying and the infestation kept getting worse. So I lost my plant to that infestation. This is my second cobra fern, and the moment it came into my house, I noticed that there was another whitefly infestation. But this time, because I was very alert and I kept looking under the leaves, I could spot it early on, and I have been treating it. I have been spraying neem oil. I have been removing every little insect that I see, but it is challenging to take care of because it is attracted. The whiteflies are just attracted to this plant somehow. So that has been my experience. Maybe you have had wonderful experiences with your cobra fern. Maybe it's doing really well. Maybe the place that you are at or the location that you are at is perfect for your plant. Somehow it is not working out for me, but it is a gorgeous, beautiful looking plant, and I'm going to try my best to keep it happy here. So the last plant that I have struggled with is the Piper ornatum. As you can see, it's not there with me. I had luscious, beautiful Piper ornatums, and all of them have died. Very sad to say. I'm being very honest with you. Yes, plant death does happen to all of us, and we have to take it with a pinch of salt and try again if we want to, or move on. Go to plants that will work in your balcony, that will thrive in your balcony. Now, I'm not just done with my Piper ornatum yet. I did take a few cuttings which I'm trying to root, and hopefully those cuttings will come root, and then probably I will have another pot full of Piper ornatum. Now, what happened with my Piper ornatum is the summer heat killed one plant. It was it struggled a lot, and then somehow it just couldn't survive the summer heat. The second plant died because of an infestation. There was a terrible infestation, and I bought it from the nursery. It apparently had already had an infestation over there. So you have to be super careful when you buy your plants. I can't stress how much. Sometimes you may not see that infestation, and it may only show when you bring it to your home. So there's not much you can do, but try to be as vigilant as possible when you buy your plant. Now, there was this infestation where I couldn't identify the bugs because the bugs were just eating up the leaves, and I really couldn't identify them. But yeah, the plant didn't survive. I did manage to take a couple of cuttings before I completely lost it. But yes, my Piper ornatum is one another very beautiful plant that was doing very well in my balcony for the longest time, but sadly it didn't survive, and I will not give up. I will try again the moment I can buy another one, or maybe root these and see that they survive and they thrive in my. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have been very honest with this list. Now, I will tell you, there is no gardener who can say that there are no plants that he or she has found difficult to care for, and each one of us will have lists, and those lists will change based on your location or on many other factors. So don't give up on gardening if a few plants die and if a few plants don't thrive like you would want them to under your care. Keep experimenting and keep trying. However, there are a few plants I've stopped keeping in my home just because they don't like the conditions here, and I cannot keep them because I can't provide them with those conditions, or because they're too finicky and I don't have the patience to deal with them. That list is another one, and maybe I'll do another video about it, of the plants that I have decided to give up on. So if you would like to see such a video, do leave it in the comments down below. I will definitely make such a video for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and also do subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon for notifications of videos. Also follow us on Instagram for all the planty updates. I hope to see you very soon in another video. Till then, stay green.